Ladies and gentlemen, friends, I come to speak to you about a matter that is essential to your growth, your peace, and ultimately your destiny. You see, life is a journey, and on this journey you will meet many people. Some will lift you higher and others will hold you down. It is not enough to simply know your purpose, you must also protect it. There are individuals, some of them perhaps even close to you, who have the potential to derail your progress if you allow them. I want to talk to you about 5 kinds of people you must distance yourself from if you want to fulfill the destiny that God has placed inside of you. The first person you must cut out of your life is the constant critic. The constant critic is a person who always finds fault in everything you do. No matter how hard you try, no matter the effort you put into your work or your life, they always seem to find something to criticize. Their words aren't aimed at helping you grow or improving your performance. Rather, they are intended to undermine your confidence and self-worth. They may masquerade their comments as tough love or claim that they're just being honest. But the truth is, their feedback is neither loving nor honest. It is toxic. This kind of person thrives on pointing out mistakes, flaws, and imperfections, but rarely offers any kind of solution or positive reinforcement. What makes the constant critic so dangerous is their ability to subtly influence how you view yourself. Over time, their unrelenting criticism can wear down your self-esteem, making you second-guess your decisions, your abilities, and even your value. You may start to internalize their negativity, believing that you are never good enough no matter what you do. The constant critic often cloaks their remarks in a veil of concern or practicality, which makes it easy to fall into the trap of thinking they are just trying to help. But their criticism isn't about your improvement, it's about control. When someone constantly finds fault in you, they are attempting to hold power over your sense of self. In relationships, this dynamic can be even more damaging. If the constant critic is a close friend, family member, or partner, their words carry extra weight because of the emotional bond you share. You may feel obligated to take their opinions seriously, even though their feedback is consistently negative. Over time, this can create an imbalance in the relationship where you feel inferior or inadequate, always trying to meet an impossible standard that keeps shifting. The critic never seems to be satisfied because their goal isn't to build you up, but to keep you feeling less than. The constant critic's approach often involves highlighting every small mistake, every minor flaw, as if perfection is the only acceptable outcome. But life is not about perfection, it's about progress. People grow, learn, and evolve through their experiences, both positive and negative. The critic, however, tends to focus solely on the negative, ignoring any progress you make along the way. In doing so, they fail to recognize the human element of growth, which is filled with ups and downs. They want to hold you to a standard that is unrealistic, and in doing so, they drain the joy out of your accomplishments, making you feel as though nothing you do is ever good enough. One of the most challenging aspects of dealing with a constant critic is the emotional toll it takes. When you are continually subjected to negative feedback, it can be exhausting. You may start to avoid sharing your achievements or ideas with that person out of fear that they will tear it down. You may also find yourself walking on eggshells, trying to anticipate their next criticism so you can avoid it. But the truth is, with a constant critic, you can never truly win. They will always find something to nitpick, because their goal isn't to help you improve, but to keep you in a perpetual state of self-doubt. Furthermore, the constant critic is often someone who is unhappy with themselves. Their criticism of others is a reflection of their own insecurities, their own feelings of inadequacy. By pointing out flaws in others, they temporarily deflect attention from their own shortcomings. This is why their feedback often lacks any real substance. They are not interested in your growth or success, because that would require them to confront their own lack of progress. Instead, they focus on making you feel small so that they can feel bigger in comparison. It's important to recognize that constructive feedback is very different from constant criticism. Constructive feedback comes from a place of care with the intention of helping you grow and improve. It offers solutions, it acknowledges your strengths, and it is delivered with respect. Constant criticism, on the other hand, is destructive. It tears down rather than builds up. It highlights problems without offering solutions and leaves you feeling worse than before. The constant critic is not invested in your well-being. They are invested in their own need to be right, to assert dominance, or to feed their own insecurities. You cannot allow the constant critic to have power over your life. If you continue to give their words weight, you risk sacrificing your confidence, your joy, and your potential. They may never stop finding fault, but you can stop listening. Recognize the difference between constructive feedback and destructive criticism, and choose to surround yourself with people who uplift you, who believe in you, and who want to see you succeed. The energy drainer is someone who consistently depletes your mental, emotional, or physical energy without ever offering anything positive in return. These people can be difficult to spot at first, as they don't always exhibit obvious signs of toxicity. But over time, you begin to realize that every interaction with them leaves you feeling exhausted, burdened, and drained. They seem to always require something from you, whether it's your time, attention, or emotional support, but they never give back. Relationships with energy drainers are one-sided, leaving you constantly giving and them constantly taking. One of the defining characteristics of an energy drainer is their tendency to monopolize conversations with their problems, frustrations, and complaints. They seem to carry a perpetual cloud of negativity around them, and every time you speak to them, they unload their burdens onto you. Whether it's personal drama, work issues, or just a general dissatisfaction with life, they make you their emotional dumping ground. Over time, this becomes emotionally taxing as you're constantly absorbing their negativity, and it begins to affect your own mental state. Instead of feeling uplifted or energized after interacting with them, you feel drained, tired, and often overwhelmed. The energy drainer is often unaware of the toll they take on those around them because they are so consumed with their own issues. They see you as a source of comfort or relief, someone who can help them unload their emotional baggage. However, they rarely stop to consider how their constant need for support is affecting you. They don't ask how you're doing, they don't check in on your needs, and they don't offer any reciprocal support. They exist in a space where the relationship revolves around them and their problems. This lack of reciprocity is what makes their presence so exhausting. It's not that you don't want to help or be there for them, but when the relationship becomes entirely one-sided, it drains you of your own emotions. Another common trait of the energy drainer is their inability to solve their own problems. While they frequently come to you with their issues, they seem uninterested in finding solutions. They would rather complain about their situation than take any action to change it. As a result, you often find yourself giving the same advice over and over again, only to see no improvement in their behavior or circumstances. This cycle becomes frustrating as it feels like no matter how much you try to help, they are stuck in a loop of negativity and inaction. The emotional labor you invest in them yields no fruit, and you are left feeling not only drained but also powerless to make a difference. In some cases, energy drainers may not be overtly negative, but instead subtly demand more of your time and energy than you can reasonably give. They might always need you to listen, to help with tasks, or to provide constant attention, leaving you with little time for yourself. Their needs always seem to come before yours, and they take advantage of your willingness to help without considering the impact it has on your own well-being. They may not intend to be draining, but their behavior creates a situation where your personal boundaries are consistently violated. You end up feeling depleted as if there is no space left for your own needs, goals, or self-care. Dealing with energy drainers can also take a physical toll. Constantly being in a state of emotional or mental exhaustion can manifest in physical symptoms, such as fatigue, headaches, or even stress-related illnesses. When your energy is constantly being drained by someone else, your body and mind struggle to recover. The emotional weight you carry for them becomes a physical burden that affects your overall health and well-being. You may notice that after spending time with an energy drainer, you feel unusually tired or unmotivated to engage in activities you normally enjoy. This is a clear sign that the relationship is having a detrimental effect on your energy levels. The most challenging part about dealing with energy drainers is that they often don't realize the impact they're having on you. They don't see themselves as draining in their mind. They are simply sharing their life or seeking help from a friend. This makes it difficult to confront them or set boundaries without feeling guilty. You may feel a sense of obligation to continue helping them, even when it comes at the cost of your own well-being. But the truth is, no relationship should leave you feeling consistently depleted. A healthy relationship is one where both parties give and receive support in a balanced way. Recognizing an energy drainer in your life is the first step towards reclaiming your energy. You must be mindful of how you feel after interactions with certain people. Do you feel uplifted and energized, or do you feel weighed down and exhausted? If the latter is true, it may be time to set firmer boundaries or even distance yourself from the person. Your mental, emotional, and physical energy is precious, and it's essential that you protect it. You cannot continue to pour into someone else when your own well is running dry. In the end, preserving your energy is not only about self-care, but also about ensuring you have the strength to live out your purpose without unnecessary hindrances. The manipulator is a person who subtly twists situations and bends truths to serve their own agenda, often at the expense of others. They are experts at disguising their true intentions, making it difficult to recognize the harm they are doing until you are already entangled in their web. At the heart of manipulation lies selfishness, but it is not always overt. Manipulators are skilled in the art of deception, using charm, guilt, and persuasion to bend situations in their favor. They often target kind-hearted individuals, knowing that their compassion can be exploited to fulfill their own desires. One of the most dangerous traits of a manipulator is their ability to make you feel as though you owe them something. They may do small favors for you, then later use those favors as leverage to get what they want. This transactional mindset is not built on mutual respect or genuine care, but on creating a sense of obligation. For instance, they might offer you help when you're in a vulnerable state, only to bring it up later when they need something from you. This creates an unhealthy dynamic where you feel compelled to say yes to their requests, not out of free will, but because of the unspoken debt they've imposed upon you. Manipulators also have a way of distorting facts to shift the blame away from themselves and onto others. When a situation doesn't go their way, they are quick to reframe it in such a manner that makes them the victim, even when they were the one in the wrong. They excel at playing the victim card, twisting the narrative so that they appear misunderstood, mistreated, or unfairly judged. This tactic is designed to evoke sympathy, making you question your own perceptions of what really happened. By casting themselves as the victim, they manipulate your emotions, causing you to feel guilty for even considering holding them accountable. One of their most effective tools is the ability to manipulate emotions, particularly guilt and sympathy. A manipulator knows exactly how to push emotional buttons to get the response they want. If you express discomfort or try to set boundaries, they may react by accusing you of being ungrateful, selfish, or uncaring. This tactic works because it targets your sense of empathy and kindness. You begin to doubt yourself, wondering if perhaps you are being too harsh or unreasonable. The manipulator thrives on this self-doubt, using it to keep you in a cycle of compliance and emotional obligation. Another common trait of manipulators is their capacity to isolate you emotionally. They often work behind the scenes, sowing seeds of doubt about other people in your life, subtly encouraging you to question your relationships with family members, friends, or colleagues. By doing this, they position themselves as the only person you can trust, further deepening their control over your life. Isolation is one of their most powerful weapons, because once they've removed the external voices of reason from your life, they can more easily dominate your thinking and decision making. You become dependent on their approval, not realizing that your other support systems have been systematically dismantled. The manipulator also knows how to take advantage of your weaknesses and insecurities. They are keen observers and quickly identify what makes you vulnerable, whether it's a fear of conflict, a need for approval, or a desire to please others. Once they have identified your soft spots, they use them to manipulate you into doing things you wouldn't normally agree to. For example, if they sense that you avoid confrontation, they might use this to their advantage by pushing boundaries, knowing that you are unlikely to push back. Or if they know that you have a deep desire to be liked, they will shower you with praise and validation, only to withdraw it when you don't comply with their wishes. A manipulator's control is not always achieved through outright demands. Often they use subtler methods like passive-aggressive behavior or veiled suggestions that make you feel as though you're making your own decisions. But in reality, they have orchestrated the situation so carefully that you are left with little choice but to do what they want. This is the insidious nature of manipulation. It creates the illusion of autonomy while quietly stripping it away. You believe you are acting of your own volition, but in truth, you are merely playing a role in their larger scheme. What makes manipulation so difficult to combat is that manipulators are often extremely charismatic. They are likable, persuasive, and know how to make people feel special. This charm makes it hard to see their true nature, as you don't want to believe that someone so likable could have ulterior motives. However, it's important to remember that charm is one of their primary tools. They use it to disarm you, to make you feel comfortable and trusting, only to exploit that trust when it serves their agenda. Over time, manipulation can leave you feeling confused, emotionally exhausted, and unsure of yourself. You may begin to question your own judgment, wondering if you are the problem, or if you're simply being too sensitive. This is exactly what the manipulator wants. Self-doubt weakens your ability to resist their control. By the time you realize what's happening, the emotional damage may already be significant. Recognizing a manipulator in your life is essential for protecting your mental and emotional well-being. It requires you to trust your instincts, set firm boundaries, and refuse to be swayed by guilt or pressure. You must also understand that their behavior is not a reflection of your kindness or generosity. It's a reflection of their own need for control. Their agenda is self-serving, and they will continue to manipulate as long as you allow it. The perpetual victim is someone who consistently refuses to take responsibility for their own life, instead blaming others or external circumstances for their problems. They live in a mindset where they are always wronged, mistreated, or misunderstood, and everything that goes wrong is someone else's fault. This mentality prevents them from acknowledging their role in the challenges they face, and as a result, they remain stuck in a cycle of negativity and helplessness. What makes the perpetual victim so draining to those around them is their refusal to see any possibility for change or growth, as they cling to the belief that the world is simply against them. One of the most frustrating aspects of dealing with a perpetual victim is their inability to recognize patterns in their own behavior. Time and time again, they find themselves in similar situations, whether it's conflicts with coworkers, broken relationships, or personal failures. Yet, They never seem to ask, what part did I play in this? Instead, they immediately look for someone or something to blame. It could be their boss, their family, their friends, or even the universe itself. But never do they turn inward and reflect on their own choices or actions. This refusal to take accountability means that they rarely, if ever, grow or change. They stay stuck in the same problems because they refuse to acknowledge their part in creating them. A perpetual victim also tends to seek out sympathy and validation from others. They often share their stories of hardship in a way that paints them as the innocent party, someone who is unfairly burdened by the cruelty or indifference of the world. They don't seek advice or constructive feedback, they seek pity. And while it's natural to feel compassion for someone who is going through a tough time, over time you may notice that their struggles are a constant theme. No matter how much support they receive, it never seems to be enough, because they are not looking for solutions, they are looking for confirmation of their victimhood. This can become emotionally exhausting for the people around them, as they are constantly expected to offer comfort, but are never allowed to help the person move forward. The perpetual victim thrives on external validation, often manipulating the emotions of those around them to keep the focus on their suffering. They know how to evoke sympathy, but they rarely accept any responsibility for improving their situation. When someone tries to offer practical advice or suggest ways they could change their approach, the perpetual victim will often respond with excuses. They will say things like, "That won't work for me," or "You don't understand what I'm going through." No solution ever seems viable because they are not interested in solving the problem. Their focus is on preserving their narrative of victimhood, which allows them to avoid facing the harder truth that they might have the power to change their circumstances. Another significant trait of the perpetual victim is their tendency to magnify their problems while downplaying the struggles of others. In their world, no one has it as bad as they do, and they often respond to others' difficulties by immediately comparing them to their own. If you share a personal challenge or hardship, they might quickly shift the conversation back to themselves, making their struggles seem greater in comparison. This lack of empathy creates a one-sided dynamic where they constantly seek support but rarely offer in return. Over time, this pattern can erode the foundation of any relationship, as the perpetual victim drains the emotional energy of those around them while offering little in return. The perpetual victim also has a way of creating drama in their life and then using that drama to reinforce their narrative. They might make poor decisions, act recklessly, or engage in self-destructive behavior. And when the inevitable consequences arise, they quickly assume the role of the victim. They fail to see how their actions contribute to the chaos in their life and instead place the blame on others or on circumstances beyond their control. For example, they may continually choose toxic relationships, but rather than acknowledging their role in choosing such partners, they will say that they are always unlucky in love or that people just keep betraying them. By avoiding responsibility, they prevent themselves from breaking free from the destructive patterns they create. What makes the perpetual victim especially harmful to those around them is the emotional toll they take. Friends, family, and colleagues often feel an obligation to support and help them, but over time, this support becomes a one-way street. The victim's constant negativity can be draining, as their refusal to take responsibility for their own life forces others to bear the emotional burden of their struggles. People may try to offer solutions, encouragement, or advice, but the perpetual victim is unlikely to accept it. They are not looking for a way out, they are looking for validation of their belief that they are powerless and that life is unfair. In relationships, the perpetual victim often uses guilt as a tool to manipulate those around them. They may say things like, "You don't care about me," or "No one ever helps me," to make others feel responsible for their unhappiness. This manipulation can create a toxic dynamic where people feel trapped, constantly trying to help or fix the victim's problems, but with little success. The perpetual victim thrives in this environment because it keeps the focus on them and allows them to avoid the difficult task of self-reflection and personal growth. At the core of the perpetual victim's behavior is a deep-seated fear of accountability. Taking responsibility for one's life means acknowledging that you have the power to make different choices, to change your mindset, and to take control of your future. For the perpetual victim, this is terrifying because it removes the comforting illusion that they are powerless and that their problems are caused by forces beyond their control. Admitting that they have some agency in their own life would mean facing the reality of their choices and taking ownership of their circumstances, which is something they are not yet willing to do. The non-believer is a person who either subtly or overtly doesn't believe in your dreams. They are the ones who, no matter how passionate or clear you are about your goals, always find a way to sow seeds of doubt. This person often comes from a place of skepticism, not necessarily with malicious intent, but their words and actions constantly discourage you and stifle your potential. Instead of offering support or encouragement, they focus on the risks, the obstacles, and the reasons why your dreams are impractical or unlikely to succeed. Over time, this negativity can seep into your own mindset, causing you to second-guess yourself and question whether your dreams are truly achievable. One of the key characteristics of the non-believer is their inability to see beyond the present. They are often limited by their own experiences, fears, or lack of vision, which makes it difficult for them to understand the potential that lies within your dreams. They may look at your goals through the lens of their own limitations, projecting their doubts onto you. For example, if they've never taken risks or pursued a bold vision themselves, they might not be able to fathom the idea of someone else striving for something greater. They might say things like, "That's not realistic," or "I don't think you're cut out for that," not realizing that their words can be like a slow poison to your confidence. What makes the non-believer especially harmful is that their disbelief is often presented as pragmatism. They might frame their discouragement as looking out for you or helping you be realistic. But beneath this guise of concern is a mindset that refuses to acknowledge the power of vision, hard work, and determination. They focus on the potential for failure instead of the possibility for success. When you share your dreams with them, their immediate reaction is to point out all the reasons why it won't work, rather than celebrating your ambition or offering constructive feedback. This constant stream of negativity can erode your enthusiasm and weaken your resolve. In many cases, the non-believer is someone close to you, perhaps a family member, friend, or colleague. Because of the emotional bond you share, their disbelief carries more weight. You may deeply value their opinion, which makes it harder to dismiss their negativity. Their doubts can start to echo in your mind, making you question whether you're being too idealistic or whether your goals are, in fact, unrealistic. This internal conflict can paralyze your progress as you become torn between your desire to pursue your dreams and the nagging voice of the non-believer telling you it's not worth it. One of the most subtle ways a non-believer can stifle your growth is by constantly urging you to play it safe. They may push you toward conventional paths that don't align with your passions, convincing you that it's better to follow a more secure, predictable route. They are uncomfortable with the risks that come with chasing dreams, and as a result, they try to steer you away from anything that seems too ambitious, uncertain. They may advise you to stay in a job you dislike because it pays the bills, or discourage you from starting a business or pursuing a creative passion because it's too risky. But dreams are rarely safe, and real growth often requires stepping outside of your comfort zone and embracing uncertainty. The non-believer often fails to recognize the unique potential and gifts that lie within you. They can't see the vision you carry because it wasn't given to them, it was given to you. Your dreams are a reflection of your purpose, your passion, and your potential, and no one else is fully equipped to understand that. But the non-believer judges your dreams based on their own understanding of the world, which is often limited. They don't take into account your drive, your resilience, or your ability to turn that dream into reality through hard work and perseverance. They underestimate the transformative power of belief, vision, and determination. While the non-believer may not be openly antagonistic, their constant discouragement creates an environment where growth is stifled. Their disbelief acts like a ceiling, limiting how high you're willing to climb. They may not tell you outright that you will fail, but their skepticism is always present, subtly influencing your mindset and making you more cautious, more hesitant. Over time, you might find yourself setting smaller, more manageable goals, not because they reflect your true potential, but because you've internalized the non-believer's doubts. This is how the non-believer, without even realizing it, can rob you of the courage to dream big. Another tactic the non-believer uses is to compare your dreams to the paths of others who have played it safe and found success through more conventional means. They may cite examples of people who followed the traditional route and are now stable and comfortable, subtly implying that your dreams are unnecessary risks. But dreams are not about comfort, they are about growth, purpose, and fulfillment. The non-believer doesn't understand that because they are fixated on stability, which often comes at the cost of passion and creativity. They equate success with safety, failing to see that real success comes from pursuing what sets your soul on fire. It's important to understand that the non-believer's doubts are not necessarily a reflection of you, but of their own fears and limitations. They might genuinely care about you and think they are helping by encouraging caution. But in reality, they are projecting their own insecurities, their fear of failure, and their lack of vision onto you. They may have faced disappointments in their own life and as a result have developed a pessimistic outlook. Rather than acknowledging that your path is different, they try to protect you by imposing their doubts onto your journey. This may be well-intentioned, but it ultimately undermines your potential to achieve greatness. To grow and flourish, you must protect your dreams from the influence of non-believers. Their lack of faith is not a reflection of your abilities or your future. You have the vision, the passion, and the capacity to achieve what they cannot see. Surround yourself with those who believe in you, who encourage you, and who challenge you to reach higher. Your dreams deserve to be nurtured by faith, not suffocated by doubt. In life, the people you surround yourself with can either propel you forward or hold you back. To truly grow and achieve your potential, it's essential to recognize and remove those who stifle your progress, the constant critic, the energy drainer, the manipulator, the perpetual victim, and the non-believer. These individuals, knowingly or unknowingly, hinder your path to success and fulfillment. Protect your dreams, your energy, and your vision by creating an environment that fosters positivity, encouragement, and accountability. Your growth depends on those who believe in your potential and support your journey toward a higher purpose.